On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Triarchy of Lost Lovers by Rotting Christ. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal and we like to talk about it. And today we're finishing up Black Metal January with another album that's kind of on the fence.
Well, I mean, I feel like this album is not on the fence. Like it's not black metal. Maybe. I mean, they're a black metal band, which is, and this is something that I'd always heard of but never listened to. And I'm like, I would like to go in with fresh ears, having just heard this album. And I listened to it and I went, well, okay, this is, I liked it, but
Wikipedia is not necessarily an authority on what is and is not metal, but they call this out as being gothic metal and melodic black metal.
So, because I didn't read the Wikipedia page, but in my head I said, this is really a cross between Paradise Lost and In Flames.
Yeah. And they're this is also like one of their first albums that really marks that sort of turning point towards like gothic metal. A Greek band called Rotting Christ.
Rotting Christ,
yeah.
Christ
or
Christ,
like Celtic Frost.
Right.
Rotting Christ.
I should get you, if we can find, I don't think you can find a copy of Cold Lake. I know it's not on Spotify. So that a Celtic Frost,
a Celtic Frost album you're certain that I will hate?
Okay, here's the deal. I don't know what the fuck Tom Warrior was thinking in this instant. I mean, they're was it their third album was Into the Pandemonium? Was it their second? There was their 1987 album,
whatever it was.
Into the Pandemonium. That's where they decided we're going to get real experimental.
Yeah.
And they did, and it was somewhat successful. And they thought, but you know what would be better though is if us from the first wave of black metal decided to go Sunset Strip style hair metal.
Why not?
Why not? And then everybody looked at him and went, what are you doing?
He came up with the idea while he was mowing H.R. Giger's lawn.
And rummaging through his bills for him. Cutting open his mail.
But Rotting Christ is a Greek metal band.
Yeah.
They're kind of one of the first bands to have come from that scene.
Right.
I can't think of any other Greek metal bands other than Acid Mammoth.
Yeah.
Which it's been a little bit since I've listened to anything by them, but
need to give that another
quality doom metal.
Indeed.
From Acid Mammoth, and a father-son duo in that band as well.
I would love that. I would love to be in a band with kind of my children.
Kind of. Maybe. A metal version of the Von Traps is what you need.
That would be great. And on our last tour for the last thing we do is to escape over the Alps.
Yeah. Yeah. You flee the country.
Right. Exactly.
And get asylum somewhere else. Sorry, I tried to breathe in some water.
I saw that,
which is a thing that humans are not supposed to do.
Exactly, we are land mammals.
We are terrestrial, and therefore breathing in water is not a thing that we're meant to do.
Even aquatic mammals really shouldn't do that too much.
They don't really. I thought you said aquatic animals.
No, aquatic mammals.
Aquatic mammals. Yes,
right.
They shouldn't do that either. They're supposed to hold their breath when they're down there.
Totally.
They're pretty good at it too.
Mm-hmm.
How are you? How tired are you right now?
I am exhausted. I feel like on the way here, somebody punched me in the head like 15 or 20 times.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, here's what happened is I realized that my money was dwindling and I have payments that come out of a checking account that's starting to have no money in it.
Yeah.
So I had to get a night job.
Yes.
So I went back to the bar that I worked at for decades, and I'm dealing blackjack and calling bingo there.
And hey, it's what, $32 an hour?
I mean, it was last pay period. I don't know what it is now, but I don't know what it'll be this time. It depends on tips.
Oh, okay. But hey, what'd you do for tips last night? Did you do well in tips?
There was hardly anybody in there. But with the way,
I mean, it also was a Tuesday night.
Yeah, and the way it works though, it's all prorated. I mean, they take all the tips from the pay
everybody,
period, from all everything.
Okay,
for everything that took a tip, it all gets deposited into an account. Then they account for all the hours that were worked, and they spread evenly among those hours all the tips.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the service industry, so
right.
I don't know how any of that shit works.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it didn't used to work that way. It used to work. I worked blackjack jobs where I took home my tips, and cashed at the end of the night, and didn't declare any of it. I mean, all this gets declared, which is fine. I don't care.
But you told me earlier today some people recognized you right off the bat.
Yeah,
you're all nervous, and you get up there, and people are like, "Hey,
yeah, it's that OJ.
Norm.
He's back." Exactly. Yeah, and then they applauded me, and then I said, "I'm gonna call bingo now."
And you're in your bingo voice.
And I did. I called bingo.
Oh wow!
Good evening, and welcome to our bar bingo.
Have you ever seen? There's a viral video from years and years and years ago of this homeless guy somewhere in California.
I remember that.
An amazing radio broadcaster voice. And he ended up getting a job.
Right.
And is like, I saw a short little thing that just came up in like my YouTube shorts of like a follow up. Yeah, my YouTube shorts.
You got a pair of YouTube shorts?
My YouTube cutoffs. But no, it was like a follow up of them interviewing that guy, and he's still working in radio.
Awesome.
He's got like a whole new set of teeth and everything. He's in good shape, and his voice is still absolutely golden.
You know, and I always think it's funny when you hear somebody who's like homeless and living in the gutter, but they have a great broadcaster voice. You know what? Honestly, your lifestyle doesn't have to change too much if you want to become a DJ.
Yeah, DJs have lived like that previously.
Not now though.
Yeah, not now. DJs don't live like that.
Not at all.
Now.
Nope.
Nope. I mean, obviously, I am not homeless because we are in my home.
Exactly. We are in your home and with your roommate.
With my roommate. She's small and covered in hair.
Also, their cat.
Also, I have a cat. I don't know. That came to when you did that voice.
That's what came to mind.
It's the most broadcastery voice possible.
Yeah,
I would love to have like a new, just like it would be kind of interesting to have a job where like they wanted the most artificial sounding broadcaster voice you could possibly muster.
There are those jobs that's a real thing.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
I
have to wonder if you were like an American DJ that went to work in like an overseas market, in like the UK or Australia or something like that, if they would want that from you. Be like, sound the most American you possibly can. People will love it. Well, okay, they probably won't love it in the UK, but they sound. Hey, in the UK, it would be. Can you do us a favor and sound Canadian?
Yeah, I actually tried to watch. What the hell is that show? Batman's butler,
Alfred
Pennyworth.
Oh yeah, it's Pennyworth.
Alfred Pennyworth. I tried to watch the show, and the actors that have playing the Waynes. Before they're the Waynes.
Are they? Clearly, I mean, they're still the Wayne family, though, aren't they? Or do they have a different? What's the plot of this?
Well, it's.
So I thought they were like. I thought the Wayne family was like a long established.
American. What's his name? What's the father's name?
Thomas.
Thomas Wayne. Yes, but he's also working for the CIA. Spoilers, everybody. And then Martha, whatever the hell her last name is, they're sort of in conflict and they're back and forth at each other, and there's definitely no sexual tension ever. And
because we totally have no idea these will be the parents of Batman.
Right. We don't know. But the actors they have playing those two are doing the very best to be American accents.
I am an American.
Hello,
I am an American man.
Right, and I can tell.
United States.
I mean, they're clearly both British actors. Yeah.
There's a great bit on Critical Role Campaign 2, speaking of which, today it was announced that they are going to be adapting the second campaign into an animated series.
Yay!
As well, which I'm very happy about because that's the one I watched all the way through.
Dude, Did we talk about watching? Yeah, we did.
I haven't watched Legend of Mox. The second season of Legend of Vox.
It's only 3 episodes.
Yet. It's only what?
Well, right now they haven't put out.
Oh,
anymore.
they're.
I think they're.
Did they do it week by week for the first season?
I don't know because I didn't see it until it was all the way out.
I don't think they did. I think it was either that or they did it like 2 episodes at a time.
Well, I certainly hope that they're not going to end it where they did. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say any more than that. God, stop.
Put it on silent.
Shut up.
Put it on silent.
How do I mute this? I just want to mute this conversation. My family. Everybody talking about, oh, you're having so much fun skiing. Oh, boy. I love you guys. I love all you guys. You're awesome.
Fucking people.
But it looks like they're having fun, and I'm not skiing, so I'm muting the conversation.
Exactly. But in campaign 2, there was a moment where one of the characters has like a German accent, and there is a moment where he casts the spell Tongues on one of the other members of the party, and suddenly Liam O'Brien, who's playing this character, completely drops the accent and just uses his normal voice because he's speaking his native language. And so the cleric is hearing just his normal voice without an accent.
Sure.
To represent that he's speaking in this voice. And then the rest of the like Laura Bailey, who's responding to this, goes because she's doing like a Romanian accent for her character.
Yeah.
She drops her accent and it sounds like fake American. And then the rest of the cast all does their fake American impressions, and it's very good. But yeah, I'm excited about. Like Legend of Vox Machina has been great, but I'm also excited about the Mighty Nine getting adapted.
Nice,
and their name is funny because I do not know how they will explain it in the show, if at all, because. Like Vox Machina, the name of the group means voice machine.
Right.
And it's because they're voice actors.
Right.
Like it's kind of an out of universe name.
Right. It's a wink.
It doesn't really make sense in universe necessarily. The Mighty Nine is the same thing because not only are there not 9 of them, it's also NEIN because they would constantly, it was a thing where they would just constantly roll 9s. And then because Caleb has a German accent, the joke was 9. And then they became the Mighty Nine, which will probably not make sense in universe because the German language doesn't exist.
But it kind of needs to be that because it's like, hey, you're our fans. Get it? All right, come watch our show, you know?
But I don't know how they will explain that this became the name of the group. Because it feels like it would be weirdly out of universe to be like, oh, well, German exists in this universe. Like Caleb does occasionally use like German words, but it's meant to represent a different language.
Sure. Speaking of D&D,
yes,
what the fuck is going to happen there? That's my question.
Oh, with everything about Dungeons and Dragons?
Just everything about Dungeons and Dragons.
I mean, it's going to keep on going, and Hasbro is going to squeeze every last little bit of money and life out of the community.
I mean, what about independent, creators?
They're fucked. At least as of now, they're kind of fucked.
There has to be a workaround. There has to be some
a shitload of publishers are putting together their own like licensing deal that they're calling the ORC, which is really good and wonderful. It's
the ORC,
the orc. I can't remember what it stands for, but it basically as a sort of an alternative, there are lawsuits that are being filed regarding Wizards of the Coast attempting to revoke the original version of the OGL. What we're talking about, by the way, so when the 3rd edition of the game came out in the late 90s or early 2000s, I can't remember when 3rd edition came out.
It was in the 90s.
After Wizards of the Coast bought Dungeons and Dragons from TSR. The Wizards of the Coast did so, created this new game and created what they call the Open Gaming License, OGL, which allows third-party companies to license their mechanics and their rule sets basically for free. You can basically use D&D's mechanics to make your own game if you wanted to. You can adapt it into your own material, and that was fine. And like, there's some minutia that I do not have an understanding of, and that continued to be the case up until and throughout 5th edition. And now that they have a new edition on the way, They're looking at updating the open gaming license with a much, much, much more draconian and greedy set of requirements. Including forking over a quarter of all of your earnings to Wizards of the Coast.
Right. By the way, we're not saying that, just if you want to in your bedroom write up a campaign and you don't have to pay D&D.
Oh yeah,
for that.
you can do that.
We're saying if you license something and put it into a store somehow.
Yeah,
then they're going to want you to pay them for it.
And there was a massive backlash to that, and so they basically were like, okay, well, we're listening to your feedback, and they put out a newer version that's still just as bad, just with more vague language.
Right.
But it's seriously has me considering for like further campaigns, like when we're done with the thing that you're playing in, anything else that I run is probably going to be in Pathfinder 2nd edition. Like genuinely looking at just abandoning Dungeons and Dragons as a system.
Well, Pathfinder's going to get screwed like the most, aren't they?
It seems highly likely because both versions of Pathfinder have were developed and published under the original open gaming license. And the general consensus amongst pretty much everybody, including like corporate law experts, is that cannot be revoked. Wizards of the Coast wants to, but as I understand it, it would not be legal for them to do so. But once the new version gets updated, Pathfinder would not be able to continue to like go down that track.
To use newer editions.
I think they wouldn't be able to like develop a Pathfinder 3rd edition based on the same mechanics, as far as I understand. I think they can continue stuff with 2nd edition, and 2nd edition is pretty new. It's only a couple of years old at this point, and the original Pathfinder had a lifespan of like 12 years or something like that. So there's a lot of life left in Pathfinder 2nd edition. A lot of that is up in the air at the moment. There's rumors about a lot of extremely predatory stuff going on with monetizing D&D Beyond and stuff with virtual tabletops. It's bad all the fucking way down because apparently somebody at Hasbro realized just how much money Dungeons and Dragons was making them and decided to squeeze even more out of it, as if they had not already won. You guys are already miles and miles ahead of everyone. You've lapped every other competitor in the tabletop gaming space. You have lapped them several times over in this race, and you decided to start throwing down landmines behind you all of a sudden.
Right.
Just fucking win with grace, okay? Like they crawled up out of the muck and grime of 4th edition. Like everybody loved 3rd edition 3.5. People did not like 4th edition. Everybody kind of abandoned the game. They lost a lot of goodwill and a massive portion of their market share. And 5th edition fucking clawed its way up out of that hole back to being on top, so far ahead of everyone else that they decided to completely piss and shit the bed. It is insane to me. And I feel bad for a lot of the people who work at Wizards of the Coast who have nothing to do with this, because they are probably well aware of how awful this is.
Right. Well, I feel that might be everybody at Wizards of the Coast, because I feel like this probably comes down from Hasbro.
The creatives at Wizards of the Coast, probably the CEO of Wizards of the Coast, though, came from Microsoft. And you know when he left Microsoft?
When?
Right before Microsoft started to not be so fucking awful. This guy leaves Microsoft and suddenly,
woman, isn't it?
No, well, maybe. I can't remember actually. Maybe I'm thinking of a different executive. I might be thinking of the CEO of Hasbro actually. I think I'm thinking of the CEO of Hasbro, so you might be right there. I have heard some things that the CEO of WotC is not easily cleared of being culpable of this situation.
Cynthia Williams.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm thinking of the CEO of Hasbro. But what I have heard about that person is that like they worked at Microsoft, and when they left Microsoft, They were in like a high position.
That was actually Cynthia.
Oh, it was.
After
okay.
stints with Microsoft's Xbox team and Amazon's finance and fulfillment departments.
Because like with Xbox, it's been over the last couple of years where everyone's been like, wow, Xbox is like a lot more consumer friendly lately. And it's true. Like Xbox is really consumer friendly these days, which has not been the case in the past. And you've got great stuff like Xbox Game Pass and whatnot, which is an insanely great value. I use it all the time. Great
value in the true sense, not great value in the Walmart sense.
Not great value in the Walmart sense,
right.
No. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare for a thing that I deeply, deeply love. It sucks, but there was an episode of Not Another D&D podcast where they did like a dive into some of the like the mechanics of Pathfinder 2nd edition, and literally every single thing I heard was like, that's amazing. Oh, that really bothers me about 5th edition, and they fixed that? Wow. Like everything I hear, I'm like, that sounds great. That sounds amazing. That sounds wonderful. Like every single thing. And like the hard pills to swallow were even things like, oh, I get that. Like for martial characters, one of the hard pills to swallow if you're someone who likes to play like fighters and you're all right with being like, I'm just going to hit every turn and I don't feel bad about not being able to do much else. There is a penalty to making success. You have 3. Everybody has 3 actions on their turn. But if you use your last 2 actions to attack with your weapon, there's a penalty. And the penalty gets bigger every time. But there is a whole bunch of other shit that you can do with your other actions that is equally as good as making an attack. It doesn't necessarily do damage, but it has like they have codified rules for a bunch of the cool shit that every new tabletop role-playing game player wants to do. And if you're a stingy dungeon master like me, you go like, well, there's not rules for that. And I cannot think of them on the spot for you, so we're going to say no. Right. Like I've had to do that so many times, and like new players are so creative. And Pathfinder 2nd edition has rules for all of those things. It's like they did playtesting. They're like, what did your players ask you? They tell you they wanted to do. It's like, well, my player said they wanted to intimidate this other person to their face while they were fighting them. And that's like they wanted to do that and wanted it to have an effect on combat. And they're like, all right, we're going to make an action. It's going to we're going to call it demoralize. And
is that really a thing in there?
Yes.
That's awesome.
And if they fail a will save, then they have, I think, like -2 to their AC for a round or something like that. Like there's a whole bunch of these actions that you can do that have a meaningful effect on the battlefield that are not making an attack. And like the gap between like high level spellcasters and high level martial characters is not as big. Like the classes are much more balanced. There's a bunch of like information on how to interact with monsters that's on their fucking stat block.
It's like, it's here. You're supposed to do this shit.
Like it's so like there is a stat that they put on the monster stat blocks for like a roll called recall knowledge or something like that, where if you're fighting a monster, you can use one of your actions to roll like some sort of intellect check to remember a weakness about them. And the DC for that check is on the stat block. It's not hidden away somewhere in the Dungeon Master's Guide. It's on the stat block of the fucking monster. Like every single thing I heard about Pathfinder 2nd edition, I was like, that solves so many of my problems that I have every fucking week. So yes, whenever we're done with what we're doing right now, because I don't want to switch systems mid-campaign. I feel like that would be really awkward. But whenever we're done with what we're doing right now, and if we were going to continue, which we very well might, I don't know, we're probably going to do so in Pathfinder 2nd edition.
It'd be cool if we could roll up the same characters
and just replay the campaign, but in a different system.
Just do a new story with the same characters under a different system.
Now, why are we level 1 now?
I got a keychain.
Yeah.
With my character in it.
And you also have a Mini.
I had a Mini, yes.
Yeah, that was your Christmas
That's right.
gift.
I got a Mini. It was pretty awesome, too. I was scared because it's lighter than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, yeah.
I was afraid it was going to break it.
Hero Forge Minis are relatively sturdy. But I would try not to drop it on the floor.
Right.
But
or swallow it.
Yeah. But I don't think we're like anywhere really close to being done with this campaign. So it's not like, at least as much as we have played so far is how much I would imagine we have left.
Right. I think we have a bunch of side missions yet.
Yeah. Well, and like after your guys' main goal at the moment, there's going to be another big thing that'll come up. That,
nice.
This campaign is not really one that has had what I would call a traditional like big bad evil guy, in the sense like you've definitely had some villains that you've encountered and some people that have caused you trouble, and sort of recurring characters, but there hasn't been a Vecna. There hasn't been a Tiamat. Yet. They're like, yes. Yet. Every good D&D campaign needs something like that, and we're getting there. But right now, you guys are fighting some goblins, so that will need to wait a little.
Eventually, there's an egg we need to deal with.
Yeah. Well, you don't necessarily need to deal with it. It's you guys gave it to that one dude to take it somewhere where you don't need to deal with it anymore.
Maybe
that egg is long since hatched.
Oh,
that was the whole thing. I'm going to take it away from here where it can hatch and not cause problems for you guys at least.
All right.
But anyway, let's talk about Triarchy of Lost Lovers by Roten Trist.
Roten Trist.
Rotting Christ. Like I said, they're a Greek extreme metal band. They have been around for a while.
84? Was it 84?
1987.
87.
Since 1987. They are from Athens in Greece. They are Athenians. It's interesting. Like this is a very American sort of thing to think is interesting, I suppose. But like calling someone from Rome instead of Italian, referring to them as Roman,
right,
is odd to me. But you can do that.
Right.
Yeah. The same way you would call someone a New Yorker, but there's like a different connotation to it. But anyway.
Or like if you were, like from here, you're a Minotian.
Yes, a Minotian. Yeah. I'm a Minotian.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're from Athens, Greece. Athens.
They're from Athens.
Athens.
Yeah.
And they've played, their genres are listed as black metal and gothic metal as well. And this album is really kind of the beginning of their fusion of the two elements.
Yeah, they got their stuff. I'm aware. Their first show was at the Acropolis.
Really?
No, it was not. It was
where the Parthenon is?
Yeah.
What did they say about that place?
It's kind of a tomb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no one showed.
I thought it was that there were no straight lines there.
No. Yeah.
That is a reference to a British quiz show.
Yeah.
A very funny clip of a British quiz show with Stephen Fry in it, but
it's quite interesting, that show.
That show is quite interesting.
Yeah,
literally. God damn it! Let's talk about Rotting Christ. One of the things that I thought was interesting is compared to most other black metal bands, like they have a controversy section on their Wikipedia page, but it's funny because their controversy section is entirely 100% related to their name. Nothing about their stage antics or like things that they've done or crimes that they have committed. Right. As far as I'm aware, everyone.
There's not a single Nazi in the band.
I was not able to find anything sketchy in that way in the sort of search that I did. But all of the controversies are just people across conservative parts of Europe being pissed about their name. People in Poland, people in Russia, so on and so forth.
Right.
Being pissed off that their band is called Rotting Christ. Dave Mustaine refused to play a show at a music festival that they were also a part of one time.
Well, this is the same Dave Mustaine that wouldn't talk to King Diamond,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
that would not allow King Diamond to perform with another band. It wasn't even allowing King Diamond to perform
with him,
yeah. Wouldn't allow him to perform with another band at the same festival as part of a feature. He was just going to be there for one song. And it's like, nope, not allowing that. It's fucking King Diamond. God.
Yeah.
And he just happened to be there in the crowd, and they happened to hand a microphone to him just because he was there as a fan, you know, which I think is just the funniest middle finger to Dave Mustaine. What?
So we started talking about live music and being in the crowd, and then it dawned on me that
tonight's the night.
I'm missing Anthrax and Exodus.
You can still get there.
No, I can't.
If you really booked it to Grand Forks, maybe you could get there before it's over. Well, yeah, just put your foot down. You know, it's only 7:49. I'm sure the show is going to go into the wee hours.
Okay, first of all,
I'm being mean. I'm sorry.
First of all, those guys are all in their 60s, so true. That show started at 4 p.m. You know,
Scott Ian's nickname is Grandpa Metal. So,
and also I worked until 1:30 last night, and then I got to sleep till around 3:30, 4 o'clock this morning, and then I woke up at 7:30 this morning.
So yeah, probably not going to happen.
Yeah. It was like that one year at the fair. It was my first like paid job.
Okay.
It was setting up for the band Alabama at the North Dakota State Fair.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was 15.
Mm-hmm.
This was in the 80s. And
the 1980s.
I couldn't sleep the night before. I was so excited. I was like, I'm going to be like on the stage at the fair. You know, it's just going to be cool. I'm going to get paid. It's going to be so fun. I didn't sleep. And then I got up, you know, the next day, like pre-noon. And then, and I hadn't slept at all. But I got them dressed. I went there and I set them up and I got to be backstage for the show. I'm like, you know, I do love all these songs. I mean, who doesn't? It's
Alabama.
It's Alabama. I've heard all these all my life. Already I was, you know, a metalhead, but and then
you grew up around country music.
Exactly. And then that night was something called Midnight Madness at the fair. I don't know if you remember that being a thing.
Nope.
It was both Fridays of the fair. What they would do is at midnight you get a bracelet and it would be one price, and it was like, I don't know, like $10. Ride all the rides you can possibly handle until like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm like, can't miss Midnight Madness. And so I got my bracelet, and then I rode a bunch of rides. And then, it was like 4 rides.
Okay.
And then I went and I found a bench and I sat there for a moment. And then somebody woke me up like 2 hours later. Are you drunk or something? No.
I'm sure the horrifyingly empty fairgrounds. That shit's fucking eerie when there's nobody there.
I missed that. Have you've actually been to the fairgrounds when there's nobody there?
I mean,
like late at night.
I probably not super late at night, but and not like during the fair. But I mean, like I have been like driven through like. For whatever reason, like the gates were open or something like that. I can't. I was going to the arena,
okay,
where there was some event going on, but going through the rest of the fairgrounds, which were completely empty. But I imagine it's even weirder, like while all the trailers and shit are there. Yeah,
because we used, before we had computers, what we had to do was we would go do our live broadcast when I worked for Brighton's.
Yeah,
I was on Kix Country Station. And we actually had to take our CD players and shit out to the booth.
Yeah.
And we had to keep spinning CDs all night. Otherwise, we'd go off the air. And so if you're working an overnight, you were working overnight on the fairgrounds with all the carnies.
Completely empty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but it wasn't completely empty,
except for the carnies.
The carnies were there, and the security were the creepiest thing on the fairgrounds during the fair. The fucking security.
Well, yeah, because they just walk around.
Yeah, they just walk around, and I'll be sitting there. I got a window right here. The cool part was, like, at some point there was somebody wanted to request a song. What'd you want to hear? And then next thing you know, there's just bare boobs on the window. Cool, thanks. And
nice.
All right. And then like at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm spinning stuff, getting CDs out, getting commercials ready, and I look up and there's a security guard holding an unlit cigarette. What? I'd open the window. Do you have a light?
That's like a fucking bit. That's no joke, actually, a bit from season 3 of Twin Peaks. not. I say a bit as if it's humorous. It's not fucking funny in season 3 of Twin Peaks.
Wasn't fucking funny for me either.
Yeah.
It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. Here's this creepy looking. He might have been dead moments ago, but now he wants to smoke. So
like genuinely, there is a eerily similar scene in an episode of season 3 of Twin Peaks.
I gotta watch the 3rd season. You gave it to me a long time ago, and I haven't watched it yet.
It's also as a part of one of the most confusing and unsettling episodes of television I've ever watched.
Really?
Like that whole episode, the first half of it is mind destroying. It's so it is probably one of the most avant-garde things David Lynch has ever done.
Okay, I want to just savor the thing that you just said.
No, I get what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying.
The most avant-garde thing David Lynch has ever done.
Like it in a horrifying way. Like he's done things that are a bit more avant-garde or more surrealist in certain other ways, but this is like there's not even human beings on the screen. This is just like visuals, and it's fucking wild as hell. The first half, when I got done with that episode, I genuinely got up and took a shower. I didn't need to take a shower.
You needed to take a shower.
I just needed to clear my head to process what the fuck I just watched.
Yeah,
like it was, and like not like super disturbing image. I mean, there was some kind of disturbing imagery, but it's not like when I had to stop watching Blue Velvet because of the one line from fucking. It's not what's that fucking actor?
Oh, it's a famous actor. The guy who got his head chopped off.
Not Harvey Keitel.
No,
but of that generation of actors,
Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper. Yeah.
Thank you.
Daddy wants to fuck. It's like
done.
I'm done. I'm done. But like nothing quite like that. But just we were talking about metal a little bit ago. But yeah, it's episode 8 of season 3 is just fucking insane. And there's a bit in that episode that is extremely similar to the story you told.
All right. So anyway, Rotting Christ.
Let's just speed through it. Let's just speed through this. So does this album slap?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, it's a bit on the goth side. It's a bit slower, and like you mentioned, like In Flames and Paradise Lost.
Yeah, because there's the melodic qualities of In Flames.
Yeah,
with some of the late '90s sort of vocals he did.
Yeah, like it very the songwriting. It feels like if you put like a black metal filter over like late 90s melodic death metal.
Sure.
It is kind of what it sounds like. Like the vocals are probably one of the most black metal things about the album. Mm-hmm. Kind of the more raspy, sort of higher pitched screamed vocals. Not quite the same screech that you hear in some other bands, but above a pitch above a death growl.
Right. But it's not, what's his name from Mayhem?
Attila,
thank you.
Yeah, it's not the weird frog vocals that he does.
I almost called him Genghis.
Different.
Yeah.
Different horse-based Central Asian conqueror.
Yeah.
But much earlier were the Huns, much earlier. But no, yeah, those like croaky vocals, I do not care for them.
No.
But I was not able to find like much in the way of like scores for this. Mm-hmm. I mean, it kind of sits in that area of like well regarded, but not popular enough for an album of this era to have widely available like review statistics. Sure. Mm-hmm. That I could really, put together and find an average of. Mm-hmm. So I don't really know much of anything about how well this album was received at the time. Mm-hmm. Do you like what's your story? I mean,
I don't really have, like I said, I don't really have a story. This is a fresh thing for me. I'd always heard of this band. I'd heard the name, but I'd never seen one of their albums or known anybody who had one. Yeah. But I'd seen it. And there used to be these folding bubbly paper things with colors on them called magazines.
What? I thought that's what you put in a gun that has the bullets in it.
Yeah, and then you would shoot these colored magazines.
Oh, okay.
See, that's how they got the name.
Oh, all right. Cool.
So, yeah, and you'd see like posters. That's one thing I really loved from like the metal magazines was, you go through there and you could buy posters and T-shirts and shit. And it's like, rotting Christ, what the fuck?
That's an awesome name.
That's a great name. I would love this poster, but
I've never listened to any of their music.
Yeah, I don't know what they sound like. And if I put the poster up, my mom and dad would come take this fucking poster.
Yeah, there is a score from AllMusic on the Wikipedia page for this, which is 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah,
so that's a pretty good score.
There's great songs on that. Now, see, the only problem I had was the fact that I was going into this thinking I was getting black metal.
Yeah. It's wasn't what I was expecting, and also like it's good for what it is, but it's also. I didn't hear anything that was particularly compelling to me from like a songwriting perspective. Because
I thought the opening song was really good.
Yeah,
I thought "King of a Stellar War." I liked I liked a lot of the guitar harmonies. I liked and along with the melody, obviously. Yeah, it was good.
It's kind of weird. It's weird for me. I think this sits in like a weird low spot for me of like. It's not quite melodic enough to pull at my heartstrings, and it's too slow and not like progressive enough for me to really appreciate technically.
Right, and it's not slow enough to be to talk to the like goblin in your brain.
Yeah. Well, that was what I was saying about like the melody part, like the melodies and the harmonies and everything are not. Really, because they're not present in the vocals at all, and there's not really much in the way of like orchestration in the background.
It's all guitar. It's all with the guitar. And I guess there's keyboard in this,
but not. It's not very forward with the keyboard or anything like that. So it sits for me in sort of a low spot in my tastes of like these two things, neither of which are quite extreme enough in either direction to really grab me. But that's just me in my weird. Taste. Like I enjoyed this. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this. There was just nothing that really like jumped out and be like, hey, his is the thing you like.
Right. Even when I noticed that the last track was going to be a longer epic track, I thought, hey, this might be it. It was
just kind of more of the same.
Right. It was.
There wasn't a lot of build to it, which is, not every album needs to be, a concept piece that's going to build upon itself necessarily. There are some albums that can just be a collection of songs.
Right.
That's every fucking Cannibal Corpse album ever made. They don't fucking build on shit. It just rips. It just absolutely slaps front to back.
Right.
And you got riffs on riffs on riffs, but nothing's building thematically.
You know what? I want to know if somebody at the beginning of every recording session for Cannibal Corpse makes the same joke. Maybe we should really get out of our box or wheelhouse for a moment.
Let's really step out of our comfort zone.
Yeah, let's do some. Let's stretch artistically.
Let's do something really, really different and wild on this one.
And then there's a moment of silence, and then
no, we're just gonna keep on doing the thing.
That would be fucking stupid.
That would be silly. We're Cannibal Corpse. If we did something different, the world would be undone. We are the glue that is holding this universe together at this point. Is Cannibal Corpse
exactly
continuing to just do what they do, and they do it well. Yep. I mean, we talked about their most recent album, and it kicked ass.
It did, and it was almost no different than anything they did 30 years ago.
Absolutely nothing new whatsoever, but it was still great. What's your favorite song? There was one that I was listening to it. While I listened to it when I got home from work all the way through, and then I ate. And while I was listening to it, there was one that stuck out to me.
But you don't know what the name of it was.
I don't remember what the name of it was, and I didn't make a note of it. And then I listened to it again, and I couldn't remember what it was.
Snowing Still, I think, is the one that really jumps out at me. I enjoyed that song. I mean, if you listen to it again, that might be the one you enjoyed.
It might have been.
Then again, it might not be.
I genuinely do not remember. There was someone who was like, oh, I like that part. I'll consider that my favorite song. And then I did not look, or if I did look at what the title was, I did not retain that information. So I cannot definitively say what my favorite song on that is, but yours is Snowing Still?
Yeah, Snowing Still. I enjoyed that song.
Okay. That is one of the names that, like, there was a glimmer of recognition when I was looking back at it, but I cannot recall. I do not recall.
Okay, Ron. Thank you for your input.
So what medal do you bestow upon Triarchy of Lost Lovers like Maskanada to Chewbacca?
I mean, I guess it makes it into the silver range.
Yeah, this is silver. Yeah. It would be unfair to give this a bronze. This is a competently made album by good musicians. It's just not quite what either of us were expecting.
Right. It made me want to listen to Paradise Lost.
Yeah, I can see that. So next week, it is going to be February. And so,
1st of February.
It'll be the 1st of February, and it's Female February. Mm-hmm. So I decided to listen to, I don't know if it's the only album with her on it or if it's the second one. I can't remember, but back in the day, there was a metalcore / mathcore band called I Wrestled the Bear Once.
Oh,
it's all one word. It's all in lowercase. And their last album has Courtney LaPlante on it. And I remember listening to it at the time going like, this is really good. She's an amazing vocalist. And then the band broke up. And then years later, we have Spirit Box. So I figure let's go back. So the album's called Hail Mary.
You've played me some of this before.
From I Wrestled the Bear Once. And I remember liking it at the time. I had trouble kind of getting into some of their earlier stuff. It was a little too wacky in the mathcore sense. Didn't quite have the same sort of grabbiness of whatever quality it was that like Dillinger Escape Plan had. That grabbed me about them wasn't something that they had at the time, but this one sort of leaned into a lot heavier territory, a bit less punk and a bit more a bit more sort of darker, heavier, kind of deathcore elements to it.
I really wish they would get more mathy. They would get into maybe some like deeper into the calculus.
Yeah, really get into some advanced
some sine waves in there,
some real AP stuff.
Yeah.
But Hail Mary by I Wrestled the Bear Once next week for the first day of Female February.
Day before my birthday.
The day before your birthday. Gonna be 29 again?
No, I don't do that.
You know what we do? Have a Facebook page. Oh, yeah? We have one of those, and we also have a Twitter page. And if you want, you can find them.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Right.
And
do you ever post on the Facebook?
Just the episode links.
I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, I do that every week.
So there's not a lot of stuff to see on the Facebook page.
Not really. There's not a lot of interaction to be had. Maybe there's other people who comment.
True.
Occasionally that happens. So.
But there's no real reason to just go and sit on our Facebook page for a long time.
There's no interaction that we have because I don't use my own social media.
Right. No, I hear you.
So
I use one piece of social media daily.
I was going to make a joke about the anime One Piece, which I personally am not familiar with.
And I'm even less familiar with, which I kind of actually want to watch it because I've heard nothing but good things about it.
I mean, it's also 40,000 episodes long.
Right. And I won't live that long.
Yeah. So get ready to watch it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But go ahead, follow us on Facebook or Twitter. Why don't you? Why don't you? There are many reasons why you probably don't. But they're yours, and I'll allow you to keep them. You can also subscribe to our feed on
Glad you're allowing them.
I'm
so
allowing
nice of you.
them. Allowing them. Go ahead and subscribe to our feed on whatever you're using to listen to us. Whether it is the Apple Podcast app, Libsyn's the podcast source, or something else.
We like this podcast. It lives in your head.
Yep. So thanks for listening to another episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.